Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. It's the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18, right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocachers from here and all around the world. So while you're hunting for that last bag of ice in town, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Yes, indeedy. And tonight we're talking about geocache road trip adventures and, of course, vlogging on the way with Jeff from Cache the Line. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Hey-o.
All right. And, of course, live audience, please share your thoughts with us. You guys already are. We started a little late because we had a little bit of technical bugs we were working on. Maybe you're still working on. We'll see. But you guys are already active in the chat, and keep up the good work.
Sweet.
We want to hear from you.
Sweet.
Nice.
And, of course, we also want a quick reminder before we get really started here, of course, that we appreciate the support of our patrons to help keep this podcast coming each and every single week. Special thanks to Land Sharks, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. You can check out everything they have to offer at landsharks.ca. Our other corporate Denali level sponsor is Gold Country Geotourism. You can visit exploregoldcountry.com to learn more about the Geotour and the entire Gold Country region. Check it out, facebook.com/exploregoldcountry. And if you would like to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website.
Wait, that's how that word is pronounced? Website?
Which one?
I thought there was website. I thought there was a couple of extra vowels in there.
Well, they threw extra vowels in Canada.
Oh, okay. Typically just use in odd places. Hey, but before we talk about that, yes, they do. It's time for the glow. And you may ask what the glow is.
What the glow is?
Why? Thank you, Yoda. That may be how he would ask. The glow is what we call the geocaching log of the week. So whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. You can send an email or a recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can also call in to 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow.
You know what Yoda said when he saw himself in 4K, don't you? HD am I? Okay, so this week's glow, it's GC7XTJM. And then the log was someone that found Ovis Gadget Cache by GSM times 2, who's probably in the chat. Wouldn't surprise me. Thank you for being part of my epic adventure to get to 2,000 finds. Today marks 2,000 finds for our team. We made it an awesome day as it was my birthday, Mother's Day, and my 2,000th find all on the same day. And as if things couldn't get any better, we found a cache from one of the best-known cachers in the world. Thanks for the awesome cache. Short and sweet, but a great glow.
You know, a glow doesn't have to be super long. This is what we try to tell people, right? It can be short. It can be sweet. It could be, yeah, my wife told me it wasn't there, and it wasn't. Right? That was one of the best ones, actually.
She was right.
That's right. Hey, folks, if you want to join in tonight's chat, and I know you do, use the hashtag CTL. That's short for Cache the Line, just in case you couldn't put all that together. And pop that up, and our chat lackey will make sure we get your comments on the show. Also, you can use the hashtag FATAS if you want to bring up anything for the after show, maybe an event that's coming up that you're going to, maybe a milestone you're planning for. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Mm-hmm. And you can use hashtag podcast baking to tell us what you've got cooking tonight. Now, we do have some news from GCHQ, so let's talk about that before we get going. They want to set a world record. Have you heard about this? The goal of setting a record for the most explorers caching on the same day. It's a lofty one, but they've got a couple of superpowers up their sleeves. One of them is the power of the global geocaching community and the power of friendship. So they're hoping on August 20th, International Geocaching Day, to make history. Now, maybe you want to host an event, right? Because August 20th is the day they're aiming to set this record. And it's also geocaching 20th anniversary celebration in Seattle. Maybe you can't make it to Seattle, but you can host an event in your area and get everybody there to come, post an attended log, and help set that world record. It also is a great time to set goals for yourself, whether that's finishing that fizzy grid you've always wanted or complete Signal's Labyrinth. Just go log some caches on that day, and let's hope we can set a world record. Now, speaking of Signal, Signal continues his journey through the mysterious land of labyrinths. Was that a movie or is that a band name? The Land of Labyrinths.
I don't know.
Labyrinth
I'm
is
going
a
to hang out
movie.
hang out with Marshall, Will, and Holly.
They had a bad day.
Yeah.
So the swamp is almost out of sight, but now the path leads to a mysterious cave. When Signal looks closely at the cave entrance, he can just make out two bright eyes belonging to a troll that calls the cave home. It's quite a story, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Signal needs your help to get past the troll and continue his quest. Geocachers have until August 1st at noon UTC. If you don't know what UTC is, Google it and you'll figure out what UTC is in your time zone. To escape the swamp before the trek through the cave begins. The troll who lives there is a fearsome fellow. I think I've seen this movie. But he melts into a smile when he sees his favorite things. That's gems and jewels. So gemstones are the special bonus item for the labyrinth in the cave. You got to get 50 points to get the first souvenir and 500 points to get the second and final souvenir to get Signal out of the labyrinth. Wow.
Wow. Are you sure?
Excuse me. I think I need to lubricate my mouth to say those words.
Need some podcast oil there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. I could market that.
Podcast oil.
Yeah. It could work, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the points for this time period have changed a bit. You get 10 points for an Adventure Lab location, 30 points for any cache with 10 or more favorite points, 30 points for an attending an event, which that's going to probably be easy here in the next month or two.
Probably.
30 points for finding an Earth cache. And guess what? Land Monkey's not here to celebrate that, so too bad for him. 20 points for a multi, 20 points for a mystery, and of course, Signal's labyrinth item, the gemstone this time, is worth 50 points. 15 points for that regular old found it log. I think that's what I got almost entirely last round. I only got a gemstone or a potion or whatever it was after I had hit my 500 point goal. That was no fun.
But you got out and cashed and had fun.
I did.
Awesome. You know, in other news, there's some big thing happening just a couple of weeks away.
My birthday.
Yes. No, that's before your birthday. But let's all head up to Abbotsford, BC and do that little GeoWoodstock 18 thing. It's coming up really quick. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yes.
Are you going to be there, Jeff?
Weeks. 2.
Oh, yes. 2 weeks. Yes. It's going to be a fun week. Another mega in the books on the West Coast.
It's a giga.
Yes.
Now, are all Canadian geocachers required to go to this? It's not an option, I believe.
You would think that every Canadian geocacher would come to this event. But, yeah. Hopefully, this is where you just got to keep telling people to come, and then hopefully people will come.
Yep, exactly.
We know everybody can't make it, but it's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of our former guests, our current guest, and all of our patrons, chat participants, whoever out there. Come up and say hello. We're looking forward to seeing you all up there. But
Pete says yes, it's required.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know that was, yes, he was coming. Yes, he wants to say hello. I don't know. Yes,
he wants to buy us lunch and drive us around. Yeah,
Keats is just a yes man tonight.
So there should either be an incentive for going or a consequence for not going.
Yeah. I think we're just going to bookmark that response of Keats and
Okay.
bring it up whenever we feel like there's a question we want him to answer yes to.
I like that.
All right, well, enough about Keats. Let's get over to Cache the Line. Jeff is our guest tonight, so thank you for joining us. Welcome to our humble little podcast. And in case our listeners maybe haven't met you yet, aren't familiar with you and your feeds and all, share where you are, where's home for you, and how long you've been geocaching and all that fun stuff.
Well, I live in southern Ontario, and I don't like to think that I have an accent, but there are some people I feel like sound a lot more Canadian than I do. But I've been geocaching since May of 2009 when I picked up my first smartphone, the iPhone 3GS. And it had quite a history. And it's now upgraded to a 12 Pro Max. But yeah, since then, it's been, well, everything is history. I'm hoping my audio is okay. We've had a little bit of a Rogers issue. They're having some difficulty over the past couple of weeks as well. If you check the news, it's been pretty bad. So...
Yeah, we're having Jeff record locally, so the podcast audio we put out should be a little cleaner than the YouTube video this time. So if you're having trouble listening to him, jump on over to just go over to cachingnw.com, find this episode, click on it, and it'll play in beautiful audio format. And then you can just, imagine what our faces look like based on our voices. And it's usually better than what our faces actually look like. At least in my case. Oh, now, Jeff, we understand you do a YouTube video thing. This YouTube, it might catch on eventually.
yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, YouTube, I think that's it.
Yeah. You do the most excellent geocaching adventures as well. What kind of adventures would those be?
Well, I kind of like to... The name kind of came around because I am a big fan of Bill and Ted. And Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. So it's like, excellent! But I just kind of... EGA, it worked out nicely. So Excellent Geocaching Adventures. It's just a way to highlight a lot of the outdoor geocaching adventures we have, typically with higher terrains or, getting out away from the city, less common types of geocaching experiences. And a lot of really nice sights and nature and just the beauty that's out there. And sometimes I go for a little more of the riskier stuff, sometimes more extreme caches, higher terrain that not a lot of people might get a chance to see for themselves. And so, yeah, that's kind of the theme, is just bringing some of the rarer type of stuff to people to enjoy and know what's out there and be able to experience virtually.
And the rest of us can experience those without the risk.
That's right. Vicariously. Live vicariously.
So
you will put all our names on the logs, though, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay, good.
Whether
That's
you can
all.
log them or not, that's up to you. If your conscience can handle.
Yes, the Caching in the Northwest does not condone armchair caching. No. So, all of these excellent geocaching adventures have taken you, I can imagine, to some extremely memorable and excellent places. What are some of the most memorable places that you've explored while geocaching?
Well, I think there's kind of a go-to answer everybody tends to say, which is 100% true. There's forests, parks, and trails and stuff that you never knew about that's right around the corner, and you never knew about it until you started geocaching. So those have always been excellent, but some of the more memorable ones that I've had have included deserts, caves. Ontario, we have a whole lot of geology because we've got the Niagara Escarpment, Niagara Falls, and then the escarpment is it something like 500-600 kilometers, or maybe that's the Bruce Trail that goes from Niagara Falls all the way, kind of cuts across southern Ontario, follows up to the tip of the Bruce Peninsula, which is that kind of a long thumb type shape. If you look at the map, you can see it, and all of that is like cliffs and waterfalls and forests, and it's just beautiful stuff. We've got a few sort of dark sky remote nature preserves where you can go out the farthest point away from urban lights and civilization, so you can see the sky. It's super clear, all the stars and whatnot. I've been to Iceland, which was a fantastic experience, just a 4-day solo trip. Saw a whole lot of massive, gorgeous waterfalls. Dove down into a couple of lava tubes for some higher terrain caches. Found some remote hot pots, water that's thinking Celsius here, like 40 degrees Celsius on that, nobody else around. You could just sit down and it's like your own hot tub, but entirely natural. It's just awesome. I managed to visit the UK and visit the town where I was born. And so I found a couple of caches in that neighborhood in England. Visited the highest point in the UK, which is on Ben Nevis, a mountain in Scotland. And that quite a number of years ago, I was a groomsman for my best old-time friend, and he was getting married in Banff in Alberta. So we took a little trip up Sulphur Mountain. There's a virtual there, and that was one that was very desirable for the California Fizzy, being an old cache with a DT. But that was just fantastic. I mean, if you know Banff, it's gorgeous. And then, of course, there's always the ET Highway experience in Nevada, that massive flat desert of roadsides, mundane roadsides. But that's an experience I think everybody should have at least once in their geocaching career.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Now, in the chat, we've got some people who are very impressed by you. GSM times 2 says, with over 2,000 subscribers, that's an active geocaching YouTube channel. So there you go, Jeff. And also, Keats94 says it's an impressive YouTube channel. Very envious. Certainly better than editing my little channel.
Well, thank you. Oh yeah, it's a whole lot of work. There's a lot of channels that we all kind of learned from each other. Joshua started the Geocaching Network on YouTube for anybody who wanted to create videos and share their experiences on YouTube. So, I mean, everybody's got strengths as well, and it's awesome to see so many creators with their own touches, their own spins, and various experiences and stuff. And I think we've all learned something from each other, the way that everybody manages to produce. But it is a whole lot of work, a whole lot of effort, a whole lot of dedication. And so, yeah, the 2,000 subscriber milestone just recently passed, and it's exciting.
Nice.
But, the geocaching community for YouTube, for videos, for social media in general is relatively small when you look at the grand scheme of YouTube. So, there's Joshua, and he's like, through the roof. He kind of sets the bar. But there are a number of channels that are in that 1 to, say, 5,000 subscriber range. And, I think you tend to find that people within that range spend a lot of time and just love the channel, love the community, and just keep trying to put out good content that they like and that viewers will like.
Exactly. And, if you do something you like, something you love, it shows. And that just helps other people to enjoy it some more. We are still getting some breakup of your voice. However, Seedback Tribe thought it was just your Ontario accent.
Maybe we have that little click language, a click language in Canada.
And just finding our way says actually he's in the witness protection program, but they only protect his voice. Oh,
well played.
Tell you. Yes, well done. GSM times 2 says there's a number of Canadian channels in that range of the 1 to 5,000.
Yes.
Some good stuff there.
Yeah. So, I know it's a busy summer for me, and I'm thinking it's a busy summer for you too, right? There's a little travel involved. We've got some big events coming up. Did you start off with some road trips around Ontario and Canada this summer, or was that earlier in the year? And what are some of your best memories of those trips?
Yeah, this year there hasn't been too much traveling. I mean, gas prices have shot through the roof. And they're still higher in Canada than in the U.S. Grr. But so over the past couple of years, during the pandemic, there's been a whole lot of travel within Ontario, seeing some new locations and sites that I hadn't before, and a whole lot of challenge completion qualifier finding, just trying to complete some challenges. Yeah, no, it's been a busy summer.
You may have to start over again a little bit there. Did you say you were doing some challenges?
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of challenge caches that I'm trying to qualify for, and so, when you can't go too far, then you have your homeland to pick from.
Beginning to sound like a puzzle cache.
Yeah, we're really not understanding you, Jeff.
We're only getting a couple of syllables here.
Oh, wow. There's not much I can do.
I know. Well, let's try cutting your video and see if that helps.
Okay. Let's see if that helps.
To save some bandwidth. And
the video is out. So let's try this again. There are a whole lot of challenges in Ontario. Many, many challenges. And I have been working.
Oh, and we lost him completely.
Okay, well, that shut off all the video. Oh. not that button. Yeah. Okay. You got
can you hear me now? Can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
Actually, you sound a little better. Yeah. What Ghoster says, changing from Rogers to tin cans in a string may work better.
Yeah. Rogers.
No, challenge caches and trying to qualify because traveling long distances isn't possible. So just homeland, finding whatever you can. That's pretty much been what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
that we heard.
Excellent.
So, some road trips, all kinds of fun stuff, and things are opening up. We also heard you just got back home from a couple of mega events. We were just talking earlier about megas and gigas and all. Which megas did you just get home from?
So I had just taken a road trip down to Memphis. So that was about a 6,000 kilometer round trip. So 16 days, 15 nights. And that was to target 2 megas and a whole bunch of days in between. So that was for Cache Fest.
It was such a long road trip, his voice hasn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so frustrating. 16 days and 15 nights. And that was to Worldwide Cache Fest in Memphis, Tennessee, and Midwest GeoBash in Wauseon, Ohio. And a whole lot of webcams and virtuals and some qualifying caches in between. Yeah, and it was a lot of sleeping in the car on the road. Fun.
Not while driving, I hope.
Sleeping while driving would be fun. That would be interesting.
Oh, so if any of our listeners have considered going to these mega events, but couldn't make it just yet, maybe they're planning for it next year, what tips do you have to help them get the most out of these events?
Well, one thing that we've been noticing, that I have been seeing with quite a lot of the very popular megas, is they all have something unique, something original that that they're known for. And one thing that I liked about Cache Fest was that I don't think has been done before is that we had 3 different academies, 3 different kind of aspects to geocaching, kind of a trifecta of geocaching activities. So there was a Puzzle Academy, a Gadget Academy, and a Challenge Academy. So Puzzle Academy, exactly as it sounds, there's a session that talks about solving puzzles. There were some puzzles to solve in the registration packet and whatnot. The Gadget Academy, the session, you were actually following instructions to build a gadget that would work when you're done. And all of that, I mean, that was an extra one. You had to purchase that because of all the parts, but kind of a tutorial in putting these together and following instructions. And that was super popular as well. The Challenge Academy was really just trying to find ways to encourage people to take a look at their stats and maybe accomplish things that they hadn't in the couple of months leading up to the mega event. And so I co-host Challenge Talk, which is another podcast. And so we kind of shaped the Challenge Academy around the podcast. And we have this challenge wheel. And if you were able to complete a certain number of the challenges that we provided, then you'd have a chance to win stuff. So you could win path tags, t-shirts, and have more chance to spin the wheel of challenges where your profile would be tested against Project GC checkers to see if you win or not. And the nice thing about that aspect is that, you know, some people came for one of the academies, some people came for two, some for all of them. And so, yeah, if you like anything that's on that list, then Cache Fest is a great opportunity to experiment and experience each of those. Plus, I mean, it's in Memphis, and Memphis was just tourism, awesome for tourism. As for Midwest GeoBash, it's basically a multi-day camping event. So you would camp up to from Wednesday to Saturday, that opportunity, and they have multiple events throughout those days, all on site on the Fulton County Fairgrounds. Lots of satellite events, activities, lots of geocaches. Now we have the adventure labs. They've got prizes, and the community is really tight-knit because there's a lot of people that have been camping every year for, I think this was the 16th year they were doing it. It's a very social and fun event, and a great one for people who just, don't want to travel so much. Just come to one place and enjoy a mega event in the same place. And, if you are of age, then every night you get Area 51, where the campfires turn into children basically not allowed type place, which is always fun. But yeah, it's a good way to relax and wind down after that. But and then head to your camp, and yes, take a bike, because it is big, and if you want to get from one side to the other, you got to ride a bike, or you're going to be hiking a long time.
Nice.
Insider tip right there for you.
Yeah, Starcasher said it was his 9th Midwest GeoBash.
Awesome.
And Bell on the Move said it was awesome to build a smart cache live at the Memphis Mega.
Yep, I saw Bell on the Move there. It was great to see him, and there was a lot of great feedback on that gadget build.
Well, it sounds like you've had a very busy summer, but as we record this tonight, we're just bringing July to a close this week, and there's still a amount of summer left. Do you have any plans for August, maybe? Is there any place you're headed that our listeners could maybe find you and meet you in person?
Let me check my calendar. Yes. There's GeoWoodstock in Abbotsford. It's coming up in 2 weeks. And with all the stuff that was going on in the past 2 weeks, I hadn't really yet really hashed out an itinerary. So that's my next task, is looking into target caches and things to fill up those days in between. Because once again, this is, for me, it's going to be another 2-week trip. So I'm flying out to Vancouver, going to do GeoWoodstock, and the next week head down to Seattle for the HQ's 20th celebrations, and then fly out a couple days later. So it's going to be a shorter trip, but still about 2 weeks. And it's just it's a whole lot of stuff packed into 2 months.
Yes, it is. It is. Now, Jeff, if you're interested, next week we're going to talk about what are some of the highlights you should hit from GeoWoodstock to the 20th anniversary event. We've had several people ask, and I thought, you know what, let's just do a show about it. So we've already talked about the triad. You've got to hit, that if you haven't. Yeah. But some other great spots, maybe some cities that have a good number of high favorite caches in them. So we'll try to group some of those high favorite caches into areas and allow you to pick and choose based on the time you have. So
yeah, and the ape cache is definitely a high priority. The ape cache. If you're doing GeoWoodstock and or HQ, you got to do the ape cache at some point. I had already done the hike to that one when it was a tribute cache, and then the next year they announced they were bringing back the icon. No, so now I've got to do it all over again, just to get the icon.
If you pick up a Discover Pass, you can drive right up to the other end of the tunnel, and it's a straight level shot, 2.25 miles.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
the ape cache. So
Gonna be
that's always a lot.
going to be getting that day pass for the easy parking. Yes.
Mhm.
And that's also a place that if you're able to bring a bike, it makes it a trip much easier.
Mm-hmm. We actually have a small contingent of COG, Connected Ontario Geocachers, who are going to be doing the ape cache on Sunday. So we're going to have a little taste of home doing the ape cache.
Nice.
Once again.
Wet Coaster asks, and I think you've already answered, are you going to convoy to BC with other cachers from Ontario?
I actually do have a couple of friends who are doing that. I have one friend who is driving across Canada. So she's, I think, leaving on Saturday, I believe, and then driving all the way across Canada. And then another friend is going to be flying, but driving back with her through the U.S. So, I mean, it's a fantastic road trip. And if you got the time off to be able to take that long of a road trip, I'd say it's totally worth it, yeah. But not for me this time.
I don't blame you at all. Yeah, having that week between, that's going to be a lot of fun to hit some of the older important caches that help form geocaching right here in the area. So,
yeah, for sure. And there's BC is a beautiful province as well. And so there's a whole lot of stuff to visit around Abbotsford, in and around Abbotsford. I know the GeoWoodstock tourism is really pushing Abbotsford and the county and whatnot. So lots of stuff to check out if you like to explore.
And if you get bored because you
nature.
found all the ones around Abbotsford, there's Gold Country, just a little to them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know there's one geo art about 4 hours east, I believe, and it's a geo art. It's the bear.
The bear chasing the cacher. Mm-hmm.
Is that Kelowna,
Yes,
I think?
and that one, I believe it's all roadsides, if I'm correct. And it's so tempting. Really, really want to get it. It's 4 hours away, though.
Yeah, our chat lucky is giving thumbs up that it is, yeah.
Yeah. But if you solve those ahead of time,
yes,
or qualify for them, it's much easier. So it's going to be a challenge, but you know what? The days are long. So yeah, you could do 4 hours there and back and still have plenty of daylight to do a good amount of caching.
Yeah. It's on the potential for the itinerary.
Starcasher says, has he found or planning to find the cache that shall not be named? Now,
That's
there's no
question,
cache
because I don't know which that cache is.
Yeah.
Because we cannot name it. There's a little bit of history. The cache he's referring to is GCD.
Oh,
it's one of the oldest caches.
Yes.
It's right there by the ape cache. And unfortunately, to park near the trailhead, you need yet another parking pass.
Yeah.
The Northwest Forest Pass, or if you have an America the Beautiful State Parks Pass, either one of those will work. And that one's quite a climb up. Typically, on the day of Ape's going to be 2 weeks after the 20th anniversary. They start a hike at, 6 or 7 in the morning. Hike up there to get that and come back down. You're down, around 10 o'clock when the Ape event starts.
Mm-hmm. That's one that you definitely need to plan for. I've actually done that a couple of times now. And one with caching friends and one with non-caching friends. And they just wanted to do the hike. But yeah, it's kind of an intense one because it's very steep and short. You're winding up back and forth up the mountain.
Yeah.
And it's not very far horizontally, but it's far vertically. But it's a great view going all the way up.
I think you
remember looking out
elevation
over the-
gain and distance.
Yeah.
You're right, though. When you're up there, the view is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of rest spots where you can just sit and look out. You're basically looking out straight out of the hill, and you can see which mountain is it? At one of the mountains on the side. I can't remember which one it is. To the left, there you can see that one in the horizon, and it's a gorgeous view.
I was up there, and I think you see Baker. I can't remember now. I don't remember which way you're facing.
I don't remember. I was panting and wheezing too much to really.
Yeah, we didn't have enough blood going to our head to think clearly, but yeah, it was an eye-opening hike for me, at least. Like, I'm not in the shape I think I am. I got to change that.
Well, the nice thing is, when you get to the top, you've got the ridge, and there's another cache you can get to if you just follow the ridge along. I haven't done that one yet, but there's a couple others in the area that are easily accessible without continuing up the steep slope.
And then down in Oregon is GC 12 and 17, and those are old caches. They're simply called Geocache. That's the unique name they have.
Mm-hmm.
And those can both be done in a day as well.
And GC12 I have, and GC17 I believe I also have as well. That's the thing. When you're out in the Seattle area, there are quite a number of old caches, and you just have to target them. You can't pass up that opportunity. And I do have GC17 as well.
Fantastic. Look at you. You're ahead of the game. You can just sit back and relax. There aren't any caches left that you haven't found.
You got to work on that California fizzy. Finding those old rare DTs, like that's an accomplishment in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the old caches, I mean, you had to work for. They placed them, on mountaintops and beautiful spots, not just under a lamp skirt at Walmart. So, it's really worth going for the old ones. Mm-hmm. Now, CRS 98. Oh, before we go to there, Brylang says from GCD you can see Mount Rainier to the south and maybe Mount Adams as well.
Yes, that's Mount Rainier is the one I was thinking of.
And that's spectacular just because of its prominence. Everything else around it is low, and it just
it's 14,000 feet, and everything nearby is in the 7 range.
Mm-hmm.
So around here, if they can do it, I've heard tell that the civic engineers aim highways at the mountain. So as you're driving, you're looking at the mountain for as much as they can. CRS 98 says expect GCD parking to be hard to come by. It's a small lot, and there'll be a lot of people coming to it. Best bet to arrive very early. 3 in the morning's not too bad. There shouldn't be a lot of traffic.
And I'll just throw out a safety pitch. It's sad to say, but there's been, especially lately, a lot of thefts and break-ins to vehicles at trailhead. So don't leave anything valuable in your car. It's a good practice anyway, but yeah.
I mean, take everything
That's
out of
happening
your
here
car.
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you have anything, stick it in the trunk at least, so it's not visible. It should just be absolutely clean and not a threat. I know several people who leave their cars unlocked so they don't get their windows broken, but I don't agree with that either.
I heard about that. I'd seen news that people had left doors unlocked, left windows open, trunks open, just so they don't have to pay for windows breaking. Because if you don't keep anything in your car, they could still come and break your windows and then find out, and that's too late.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's a tough one to do. I don't know what to say there. But just be safe. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, here's a great question from Seebeck Tribe. Lori asked, when you started doing this, was there a time you just wanted to give up, and what kept you going?
That is a good question. I think that really only came up for me when doing the daily caching, because in that case, I mean, you're working towards a goal, and if you set your mind to it, then you know that there's going to be work at some point when you don't have the energy, you don't really feel up to doing what's required in order to complete the goal. For geocaching in general, I think it's kind of the opposite. It's like other things come up and you wish you didn't have to do that, and you wish you were out geocaching. So I feel like geocaching is kind of the answer to if you want to give up on something, you kind of want to go geocaching. But yeah, maintaining the streak, that's a whole different type of mentality, mindset. You need to really be on board with it and push through. It's like training for anything. You always hit a wall at some point, and as long as you can push through that wall, then you can convince yourself that you can do it, and now it's almost smooth sailing to the end. But yeah, no, it is a great question. It was 366 days, consecutive unique days. So started on March 1st and ended February 29th. Didn't cache the day before and purposely didn't cache the day after because everybody always talks about, you keep a streak going and then it's like, I don't want to finish it. I don't want to end it. I want to get another one. There's another one tomorrow. I can't end, so I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I'm like, okay, this is a 366. That's it. Cutting it and it's done. Keeping that in the stats. I don't care if there's a 1,000-day streak challenge. Never going to get that one.
I can't do a week challenge, right? 7 days is too much for me. It's just, I have other things going on. But I was in an event this weekend, and there's a gentleman there who has a 9-year streak going of finding a cache a day. He says, I don't stock up. I don't, pre-log or do any of that. I find one every day. He's done it for 9 years. But, there you go. Minimag says he's on 575 today. So let's see. That is, I'm going to guess, a year and a half.
Yeah, it's a year and 9 months or something like that. I don't know exactly. Brylang's looking it up, I think. Brylang's doing the math. No, he's not. Never mind. No. Math is hard.
Right. Brylang doesn't do math in his head.
But yeah, it's about that. So, Chad, like he's distracted.
I think. And did we lose Jeff, or is he just quiet?
He's gone.
No. I had to say something.
He was very still for a while there.
Well, you know what, folks? This is a good time. I want to say thank you for tuning in to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I think Jeff did. I think Jeff did, even though he had bandwidth issues. But we're going to take this moment anyway to thank Landsharks and Gold Country Geotourism, because they are our corporate Denali level sponsors. As we mentioned, landsharkswithaz.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Go check them out online. They do ship orders daily, online orders daily. And of course, absolutely amazing geocaching adventures. You got to head up to Gold Country. Check out exploregoldcountry.com. We'd also like to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That is Landsharks, Gold Country Geo Tour, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cashly. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website.
That was, just like it did.
Wow, that was so quiet. Hardly heard it. Also, B. Pendragon.
The Geo Travelers.
Doramore.
Camp Clan.
Korsgat.
Peach of Washington.
Kev MacD.
Ackerdoc.
Subway Mark.
GeoNev Pro.
Limax.
How about LG 9000?
MC3 Cats.
Kid Vegas 19.
Winos Seattle.
Skyhawker.
Seebeck Tribe.
On a boat.
Trexzer.
Fairwood West.
Flagman.
How about GSM times 2?
But Broncos fan for life.
And J-Car.
Sprouter.
3 hams and a rose.
Keats 94.
M Nerf. He put on that event.
Yeah. Cool. CRS 98.
Utox 2 rocks.
Logwork.
Greenwords.
Bad Lunch, Great Handle. Gas Station Tuna.
Kennel Bar.
Genies.
Ari 54321.
Just Finding Our Way.
Segehov.
Wet Coaster.
Oh, I missed one. I thought you were going to do the...
I jumped back and caught it. Now it's your turn.
Boomer 365.
Alaro Brick.
Tick Magnet,
UDEC,
and Teus.
Team Noltex.
And, of course, Donners.
Oh, thanks to all of them. And thanks to Jeff, who I think is trying to connect back in here soon. Thanks for joining us. Look at it pop in and out, in and out.
I cannot believe this. My home internet just completely died.
Oh, well, thank you, Rogers. So this is now via cell phone.
Yes.
Thank you for burning your cell minutes and data to join us for the close of the show. We do want to thank you for joining us. We know it wasn't the most pleasant experience with your bandwidth issues, but we enjoyed having you along anyway. If people wanted to get in touch with you and actually maybe get some video and see some stuff from you without choppy audio, where would they find you? How could they reach you?
I'm on YouTube at Cache the Line, on Facebook as Cache the Line, Twitter as at Cache the Line, and on Instagram as at the Bruce Zero. There is a Cache the Line on Instagram, but it just directs over to the Bruce Zero.
Okay.
I was noticing a trend there for a moment.
Yeah.
Nice.
Funny how the social media works, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Branding is important. Hey, folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. In either case, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in an audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. You can call 253-693-TFTC. Leave us a comment, ask us a question, or, find a place to meet us up at any of these great events here in August, anytime. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umpenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2022 by Chris Umpenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
Caffeine finally kicked in.
I guess so.
Woo. Okay. Seabeck Tribe wants to know if we're going to need earplugs for the readings of the patrons.
I have no idea what she's referring to. I just couldn't.
She commented at the event that was a little loud last week.
Lean into
Yes.
Exactly.
Go big or go home.
Starcacher says this is Shark Week. Does that include land sharks?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Just don't forget the Zed.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ryline says for the next 2 weeks, the land sharks are actually busy beavers.
Yeah.
They're kind of a shape-shifting then, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's see.
Moose.
What else you got there?
Busy moose.
Well, since Jeff is back, we'll say Komakino says it's fun watching Jeff's videos get better and better as the years pass.
Thank you, Rich.
And just Carlo says, will you be driving Deja across Canada?
No, I'm flying. I should have it. I'm going to be flying my Mini Bee. I don't have him with me, but my Mini Bee will be going with me to the west.
There you go.
I will have Deja will be there in spirit. So before I got the car that I have now, I had a trackable that I would slap on the various cars that I'd rent. So I called it the Doppelcar. And so the Doppelcar became Deja when she was bought. So Deja will become the Doppelcar out west.
Always changing the car.
Was it a Saturn View?
No.
I don't think it'd be great to have a Deja View as your car.
Hey.
CRS 98 says, I'm planning a trip to Gold Country, leaving Abbotsford early on August 11th and returning in time for dinner. Anybody interested in going?
You may have to run a bus at that point. There's probably lots of people interested in going.
Exactly. So that'll be
the schedule.
Keats94 says he's hoping to add more episodes to the YouTube channel, including something big next year.
Something big is always good. Something
Yeah,
big.
sounds exciting.
Just Carlo says, also speaking of YouTube, I'm looking forward to the influencers panel at GeoWoodstock.
Yeah. Cache Canada, I think, is also going to be there. And I saw the list, but I can't remember who was all on the list. Land Monkey.
I can't remember who's on the list either. I think I'm on the list, but I've never actually been asked. It's just one of those things. Who's this land monkey you refer to? Oh, well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you coming back. You didn't have to, but you know, you're just a stand-up kind of guy, so I appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I'm humbled to be asked to join. I'm glad, and by all means, I'd love to join. I love doing podcasts. It's great to be able to chat and talk about this amazing hobby and
Isn't it
share
great?
all the fun. Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's meet in person in a couple of weeks, shake hands, and we'll do some more talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Influencers panel, Cache the Line, Cache Canada, Podcacher, Caching Northwest, and Land Monkey.
There you go.
Canada represents. We want Canada to represent.
Yeah. You know, I was actually kind of nervous for this episode tonight without Land Monkey to interpret. I didn't know if we could speak to a Canadian since, you know, we're two Americans, you know, the language difference, but it seemed to work out well. There were some things we couldn't understand, but, you know, I'm going to blame that more on technology than language.
There's that. You know, it's just Celsius as well. I don't know. That must have got garbled up as well. I don't know.
In the translation, in the exchange rate.
At least time works the same north of the border.
Exactly. Well, folks, until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.
Happy